another rainy day. I was planning on melting a whole of a lot of aluminium and making more of these size ingots, but unfortunately working with molten metal and rain, that doesn't go very well. So I thought, let's rearrange my shelves and relax a bit with a beverage of my choosing in my ugly mug. I got this to support Gil Skills channel. He's an awesome YouTuber. He does a lot of scrapping videos and live streams and support streams, and well, you can't really mention Gil Skills without mentioning Recycle Dude. They're apparently good friends and they stream together quite a lot. And I've really enjoyed meeting them and being on their channel, on their live streams, and I've met a lot of interesting people. And yeah, let's arrange some of the shelves. And the beverage of my choosing here is iced tea at the moment because I'm out of cherry cola. So I will be enjoying my drink and stacking some ingots and showing you people what I've been doing. Well, this is from, I think, from last summer, basically. And Christmas, of course, because Xmas Tree. If you've not seen the video of me making this, then I suggest you go check it out. It's interesting. And there's fire and quite a bit of failing involved. So yeah, I'll put a link in the description to this video, and I'll link to Gil Skills channel. And I'm gonna get a hell of a lot of Pepsi cans, and because Gil's favorite beverage of choice is Pepsi, and I'm gonna specifically melt those into something interesting and maybe send it to him at some point. So look forward to that project. Alright, let's see if I have enough room to stack the stuff that I made the last few days. This is all lead. And oh, this is actually my very first ingot. Come on, focus on this thing. There we go. This is my very first ingot. I think I found a couple of wheel weights and a bundle of tin. This is basically an abomination of a thing. I clamped together a couple of aluminium heat sinks in, well, basically this shape, and melted this lead wheel weight and the bundle of tin that I had laying around, and that poured that in using a ladle that I heated up with a heat gun, and that turned into this. And seeing the metal flow and forming this little, well, yeah, ingot got me so excited about the whole thing that kind of started the whole process. And then I got a couple of more fishing lead that I had laying around, and turned them into, well, this big block. So this is my second ingot, and this is just lead and really heavy. And I haven't remelted these yet because, well, these are my first. So yeah, just a little memento, I think. And yeah, this got me into the whole metal melting process. I was very interested in it because of seeing the King of Random melt cans in his mini metal foundry, and then using the styrofoam technique to cast all kinds of different stuff. If you've seen my last video, then there I explain a bit about how I made my forge, or my furnace, my mini metal foundry, or slightly bigger metal foundry, based off the King of Random specifications. And I'll put a link to that in the description as well. And it's quite easy to make, and it's easy to power. I use briquettes or coal, and yeah, it's a little thing you can just build and even use as a barbecue when not melting metals. If you're interested in starting melting metals, then I suggest start with aluminium, zinc and lead. Those are very easy, and leave the higher temperature metals like brass and copper for later. Aluminium is very light to work with, easy to come by in the shape of cans, or I don't know, like extruded aluminium out of scrapped out appliances, computers, and some other hardware sometimes has big chunks of aluminium in it. And using the mini metal foundry design, that will get you started in the whole thing. And that's kind of how I started. I started with all this aluminium on top, all the silver stuff except for this bit here. This is pewter, this is tin, and the rest, this is yellow and this is orange stuff. So it's brass and copper basically. But all the stuff back here, mostly muffins and a couple of ingots, they are all from cans. So I think the really big one might have been some big pieces of extruded aluminium, but all the rest is just cans. And yeah, start out with a muffin tin. That's the easiest to do. And have some fun in melting metals. Alright, now to get all this stuff into here somewhere. Right, let's see. Well, let's just start with these two big ingots that I thought were zinc and turned out to be aluminium. I like these. These are quite big and light. Those are actually zinc, so they're really heavy in comparison to these. I'm not gonna make copper or brass or lead in this shape or size, because I don't want to have a repeat of these things and have to hammer them all out. And also lead will be way too heavy in this size. I mean, one of these lead muffins is basically 1.2 kilograms. So that's heavy enough, big enough ingots for the lead. All right. Let's see if I can get you up. There we go. Let's just these are also quite nice, by the way. Difficult to get out of the tin because of completely square, but handy to stack up, and slightly bigger than a muffin. So gets you a good size ingot for remelting purposes. Let's see here. All right, let's add the copper. I got copper balls, big heavy copper balls. These I have gotten from a customer I was at during work when I was talking about my hobby. I do that a lot at customers, hoping that they will give me stuff, and apparently they do. So some guy said, "Yeah, I used to work in blah blah, and we have some copper stuff laying around that we used to melt and pour into molds." So he gave me these two quite big and heavy copper beads, and well, they're basically ingots by themselves. So I'm not going to be remelting these into a different shape because, well, they're already done. So leave those here. I'm going to put these aside here somewhere. I am going to be needing bigger shells, or maybe add an extra one. You can tell the difference. This one has been laying around quite some time. These are the ones I've just sanded down. Quite the difference. Also, I do like the wrinkly pattern that they get. Oh, kind of looks like a cookie. All right. So. tiny little copper ingots that I made with my graphite mold. I have a tiny graphite mold I got for a couple of euros. And well, these are handy for making smaller projects, of course. Add a few. This whole stacking up on the shelves is gonna be annoying because I don't have that much space in here. My first ever copper muffin. Well, half of one third. Turned out all grayish or brownish as well. And looks kind of like a chocolate cookie. Kind of break your teeth on this, but yeah. This I did in my first graphite crucible in my coal-powered oven, and wrecked the crucible the first time because too high temperatures and stuff. And basically just heating the crucible only from one side, so it broke. And when I got it, it already had cracks in it, and I already had it refunded, so it was free basically. But yeah, got one third of a muffin out of one crucible. Now let's see if I can stack these up into a neat little pyramid shape, or maybe something different. Yeah, there we go. Right. Put the balls in the back. But they do have a flat surface, so they will stand out. They will stay in one place. Let's see. Oh, stacking up. This one is ugly. Have that in the back. This is not just my only stash. I do have some, well, failed ingots, I call them. They're a lot less nice looking and a lot uglier. I mean, looking at some of these aluminium muffins, these are just perfect muffins. And well, yeah, it's not for this is not the end product. It's for reusing. But I would like to keep the nice ones in a nice on my shelves. This one has been in my pocket for some time. I keep showing this one to people, so it's kind of polished silverish. But yeah, I mean, these two look very nice. I mean, they're just muffins, but I like to keep them in my little warehouse here on the shelves. Yeah. So these are the brass bars that I did last week, just after the zinc fail. And these are the ones that I did after I poured the star on the Christmas tree. So, let's see if I can get this stacked up neatly here. And again, a small ingot which was slightly over poured. Looks like a little loaf of bread. Oh yeah, that part of the shelf is filling up quite well. There's also a aluminium fish. I got a copper mold from a flea market for, I don't know, €1 or something. And this fat aluminium fish is just a fun thing that I made. Because, well, why not have an aluminium fish? And I made one from zinc, and I made one from lead. And the lead one is like half as thick, but 3 times as heavy as the aluminium one. And zinc actually fills up the pattern pretty well and becomes nice and smooth. So, and zinc is very easy to melt. Right, so let's see about more of this lead here. Well, maybe I'll clear out the shelf and make one shelf for lead, one for zinc, one for aluminium. That might be a good idea for the near future, because this is filling up. I think I found out what the problem was with these bears, by the way, because this is lead. This is also lead. See? Completely different sound. Now, the lead that I used for the other ones are wheel weights. And I think wheel weights have like antimonium in it, or antimony, or antimone, what's it called? I know that when making bullets, or at least I've seen some American lead refiners turn them into bullets, or melt lead for later bullet casting, and they said just roofing lead is too soft for bullets. Then basically you're shooting, I don't know, yogurt or pudding, and having the antimonium in there makes it harder and makes your bullets stronger. So I'm guessing that's why wheel weights are popular for turning into ingots and later turning into bullets. Alright, so this is an older one. Lead becomes, see if I can get the color different. Lead becomes all dark. If you can see these here compared to the zinc. They used to be just about the same color when just poured. Slightly darker, but they turned really dark. So yeah, let's stack up more of these bears. I'm just gonna stack them all on top of each other. You can clearly tell the difference in color. I'm gonna keep my eye on those, because I'm not sure that the lead is actually the same. Maybe there was some zinc in there. I'm not sure, but I know I did check all the wheel weights, because I check each and every one of them. I try to keep my metals as pure as possible, or my ingots. Let's see, got the bubbly heart. This is the first heart I did. Got some bubbles in there also, but I made it way too fat, and that's why I didn't want to pour all the fill the molds up all the way to the rim. And there's some of the weird yellow stuff. It's probably some oxidation or whatever. Maybe could be that this was leftover powder from the fire extinguisher that got burned. Maybe that's what the flaky stuff is that always comes off. Could be. Well, more heart. And the nicer looking heart. And again, got my old flower, new flower, just put them on top here. And just put all these little things here somewhere. There we go. Let's put the tree aside for a bit. So the tree is made of aluminium, just cans. Copper is well, copper wire, and brass is well, you know, bits of plumbing, old padlock, and like old screws and whatnot. let's see. Now I have some of these seashells, and well, seashells go with fish, kind of. Let's just stack them up. I hope my shelf will hold, because, well, it's kind of bent already. And I try to stack things on the sides mostly for weight, because, well, the zinc and the lead are the heaviest things I have. I think copper is slightly heavier than zinc, not sure. And then brass would also be heavier, but I don't have a lot of that. But I do have a lot of zinc Twinkies, or zinkies like I call them, and these big things. Now for a whole stack of those baby bears. Hope I can get this all in here. Just put this on top here. Let's see if I got a nice looking one, semi nice looking one. There we go. Now Christmas tree back in the middle. Yeah, I'm gonna need some more shelves. What do you think, Gil? When I get a bigger place with a nice shed and a workspace and a garage, I'm gonna make a separate room for all of this. Kind of like my own little Fort Knox. I'm gonna go back over to the garage, my mom's garage, and see if I can scrap out something. I think I have an old reel-to-reel player in there that could use looking at, see what's inside. It's still quite early, so yeah. Let's not go on the YouTubes and start following streams, because then I'll be stuck to those for hours and hours. Yesterday I was following 4 streams at the same time until Mr. Bob Gill turned up, and then I turned off every other stream and let him know that I finally got his ugly mug. So I promised him a shout out and that I'd show it in a video. So yeah, I'll put a link to Gil Skills in the description, and also Recycle Dude and some other people I've been checking out. There's basically 2 kinds of channels that I check out a lot. There's the metal melting and casting. I really like. Basically, like I said, the first thing I found about metal casting was the mini metal foundry by the King of Random, and I kind of got hooked on the whole idea of melting metals yourself and casting things, muffins for instance, at the beginning. And then I found I think Big Stack D, who has a awesome warehouse full of all ingots, and they're all polished and stamped, and if you do not know Big Stack D, if you're one of the people I met at Pusa Studios, also an awesome channel by the way, Link will be in the description. And if you're one of the scrappers that I met on either Pusa Studios or Gill Skills or Recycle Dude or whomever, and you're thinking of going into metal casting, go and have a look at Big Stack D. He does he makes ingots and he uses a big propane forge. He has a homemade one and he has a big Devil Forge. Devil Forge is a company that makes propane-based forges and furnaces, and they are very heat efficient, and they basically melt a pile of aluminium within like 10 minutes or so. And I was thinking of getting one myself, a Devil Forge, but since I have my own homemade one and I'm briquette powered, I might go for a Devil Forge in the future when I have a bigger place and more space for working with it. I'm going from one subject to another here. I was about to mention some channels. All right, so if you're into scrapping, like the taking apart of appliances for copper and aluminium and maybe gold recovery, because there's a lot of people who make quite a bit of money by doing this. Check out either Gill Skills, Recycle Dude, Moose Scrapper. He's a big guy in the whole thing. He's been going at it for a couple of years now, and also E-Waste Ben. E-Waste Ben and Moose Scrapper both reached 50k subscribers some time ago, and I really enjoy watching them work, and I learn a lot from them. And Gill Skills and Recycle Dude kind of came to my attention because of them. And then there's Michael Murphy. He recently changed his channel name to E-Waste Mike. So there's E-Waste Ben and E-Waste Mike. And he has an awesome pile of scrap at his house. And he's basically the American version of E-Waste Ben. If you've seen him, E-Waste Ben has a huge shed full of all kinds of crap that he's scrapping out. And Michael Murphy, aka E-Waste Mike, has I don't know, just as big of a pile, maybe even more. It's amazing. And there's a friend of mine also from the Netherlands who's just started in the whole scrapping and dumpster diving and metal melting. Metal Scrapper 84. He could use some support because we kind of started at the same time on YouTube, and I think he's not even at 100 subscribers yet, so might be interesting to some of you. And then there is, I should have made a list and just read them all. There's a whole lot of them, scrappers. And then the metal casters, like I said, Big Stack D casting, and there is Art by Edrock. He does a lot of casting of 3D models. He has a 3D printer, and he gets most of his 3D models from a Skewed View 3D, and also Alumitube. He's a big guy. I think he's at like 800k subscribers or something by now. And he makes a lot of movie and video game weapons, and he also gets most of his designs from a Skewed View 3D. So if you own a 3D printer, and if you're thinking to go into metal casting, or just if you like to 3D print all kinds of stuff, check out a Skewed View 3D. I've been hanging around in some streams where they were working on stuff as well, and I was actually surprised that they didn't have more subscribers. So if you're interested in some cool 3D prints, go for a Skewed View 3D. Who else is there? Press Tube does a lot of metal casting. I think he has over 2 million subscribers by now. I enjoy watching his videos. And then there's also the King of Random. He doesn't only do metal casting, but he has a couple of videos on it, and a lot of semi-scientific stuff and experiments. Very interesting. Most people should know the King of Random because he's over 10 million subscribers. Then there's Paul's Garage. He is not specifically into scrapping or metal casting. He does a few things, and he has a lot of DIY projects and stuff. That's very interesting. Veg Oil Guy. He also does metal casting. Julian HG. SW Dweeb. There's so many people who do this stuff. I really can't keep up how many of these people I am following, and they are making awesome metal casting videos. I'll just make a list of whatever channels that I follow, and I'll add what they are about, like either scrapping or metal casting, if you're into any of these things. I also follow some gaming channels and play some video games myself. As you can see here, there's a couple old PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it at this. Check out the description for everyone I've mentioned, and so to all the scrappers, keep scrapping, have fun, and have a scrap happy day. And to everyone else, see you on the next one.